We saw things go from 0 to 60 quite quickly. We saw Russian tanks going into Ukraine. We're seeing missiles from Russia flying into Ukraine. We're seeing the US and the European Union and European countries announce sanctions against Vladimir Putin's inner circle. The way this is going to affect Americans is going to be maybe not direct, but pretty sprawling due to these sanctions.
My administration is using the tools, every tool at its disposal, to protect American families and businesses from rising prices at the gas pump. And American oil and gas companies should not exploit this moment to hike their prices.
The most immediate thing to see is how fear over sanctions and war have already caused oil prices to pop. The US benchmark briefly touched $100 a barrel. It hasn't been there for years. The biggest reason that prices are increasing are basically is uncertainty and fear that something, quote unquote, something could happen to disrupt Russian oil supplies. I mean, we haven't had a shooting war in Europe for years. A large-scale attack that could draw in more countries is a worry that's playing on oil traders' minds. So that's why you're seeing prices increase right now.
There's no scenario. The president is not sending U.S. troops to fight in Ukraine against Russia.
If things escalate and if U.S. NATO allies such as Poland or others get directly involved, that could trigger NATO treaty obligations that would then send U.S. troops into the action. So there's a real worry that this could escalate from this hostility involving directly two countries into a wider war that drags in the U.S. and its NATO allies.
If Russia pursues cyber attacks against our companies, our critical infrastructure, we are prepared to respond.
Companies are worried about whether Russia lashes out with hacking into systems. We saw Russia try to disable the Ukrainian internet system by a bunch of cyber attacks. It's more of how these hostilities could cause Russia to lash out and try to cripple Western companies' ability to do business on the internet, or utilities' ability to generate electricity or distribute electricity to where it needs to go. The other kind of wild card in all this is whether the U.S. comes out and announces that it's made another agreement with Iran about its nuclear development. If you see that, and if you see the administration say it'll lift sanctions on Iranian oil exports, you could see prices dip again. Kind of an irony with this administration that they've been doing so much to try to push renewable energy development that they have to keep coming back and discussing gasoline prices. It seems that almost every press conference that Jen Psaki's been doing in the past few months circles back to what's going on with gasoline prices, what's going on with oil prices, what's going on with natural gas prices. So the administration's trying to prepare people mentally just to get used to the fact that they're going to see gasoline prices go up again. We're now seeing oil rigs return to U.S. oil fields in huge numbers. There's now like almost 250 more oil rigs in the U.S. operating now than it was a year ago, which is a huge amount. You're going to start seeing more U.S. oil hit the market as prices climb. So that could be, in a way, to kind of save President Biden a little bit from any disruptions in Russian oil from taking more of a political toll on the administration next few months.